welcome back to Realize 2020 with yet another exciting presentation, this time by Jerry Salemakers. Jerry.
Hi, Remco.
Hello, hello. Good to see you again. Normally
Happy
we would
to
have
be
seen
here.
Yeah, we could have, of course, should have seen each other face to face, but this is now the new reality. Nevertheless, it feels very close now to see you again. Hey, I immediately start with a question. I see your presentation there, and it's called "How do you meet the demands of modern application delivery?" which indicates an evolution in the way companies are at the moment delivering their applications. So, what is driving them?
Wow, you always ask these good questions, Remco. Now, actually, as we speak with our customers, and regardless of the industry of role they're in, they actually have one common driver. They have much more demand for software-based innovation. And this really means they need to deliver services that not only fit the market's timing, but also run applications that deliver their end user value faster than they create technical debt with running those applications. And really, it's a race to remain relevant in today's digital economy, where both competitive edge, the ability to improve your loyalty, growing the revenue, and also satisfying the needs of your demanding users and customers is relying on high-performing software development teams.
Okay. So you're saying you're actually focusing on the aspects of performance with application delivery, but isn't that not something that companies are doing for decades now? So what's the drive for them?
Yeah, you're right. And traditionally, organizations do have a siloed late-stage performance testing model. And this notion of performance testing as a risk assessment at a later stage is very often carried out even with manual testing when the application is ready to release, and also with a very narrow scope. So to some level, this does work. However, it leaves no room for sharing any feedback, suggesting improvements, or enabling collaboration across the team. So that's why an evolution is needed, based on building your quality metrics into the release requirements, even before development begins, and having a strategy for building performance into every aspect of your delivery lifecycle, independent of the methodology that's being used. And this will ensure the teams that they can engineer performance also early in the lifecycle and deploy high-performing apps that surpass customer expectations.
Okay, well, clear. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to see your presentation, so I give you the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Salemakers.
Thank you, Remco, and welcome all to this session on how to meet the demands of modern application delivery. I'm going to talk to you today about the need to evolve and how Microsoft, but of course the focus will be a little bit towards the end on traditional performance testing. So, let's kick off with an introduction, like why evolve, to continue a bit on Remco's question, and how Micro Focus will help you. And in order to do this, let's start by looking at today's digital economy. And I already mentioned it to Remco. Organizations today are having a much higher demand for software-based innovation, and they need to deliver services that provide value in a faster way and even at a lower cost. This software-driven renaissance, as you may call it, is really disrupting the existing business models at multiple levels. And I'm sure that every single one of you is involved with specific projects and goals in your organization that support these changing business models. Software really has a key role into this because it's how businesses compete today in the digital economy. It's okay to say software is the business. So, responding to this new economy, organizations are forced to digitally transform, and they create new IT strategies resulting from this. And they're driven by both top line and also bottom line mandates. And this whole digital transformation actually has two sides to it. First side is run and transform the way you do business. And actually, this other side is enabling to innovate faster with a lower risk. So bottom line, organizations should make sure they run IT as a business and leverage their existing environments and processes, and also lowering the risk of disruptions with a quicker return on the investments and a lower cost. And when you talk about this digital transformation, Our customers should trust us at Micro Focus, supporting their initiatives, because we've been going through a digital transformation ourselves. In the past years, we've gone to 15 plus acquisitions, and they required us to evolve as well. As a matter of fact, we're in the middle of one of the largest transformations in history as we are aligning our global and highly complex business. So we have learned firsthand the practices that will make you, our customers, successful as well. You can call us, well, experts at digital transformation, right? And we don't only have the in-house experience to drive this, but we also have the tools and the solutions to make these initiatives work effectively. And of course, we use those tools ourselves. We understand what challenges the customers are likely to face, and we can take, together with the customer, proactive steps to address them, just as we need to. When I talk about those challenges, and I'm going to share a couple with you, and I'm sure some of them will look familiar to you. It's clear they have high constraints on teams and their output. Just to share a few of you, bottlenecks in the delivery life cycle, they really don't allow us to deliver in a fast way. They slow the velocity. Also, the failure of measuring the progress, not knowing what is a good performance of my team, together with lack of visibility, not being able to track any progress, to track any costs, are really challenging for organizations to have a successful digital transformation. That's why I mentioned that organizations need an evolved approach. It's an evolution, and you can take some principles in mind when you talk about this evolved approach. First of all, you don't need to rip and replace all your tooling or create a redundancy with tools that do similar things or things that are almost the same. What you should rather do is keep and integrate what is working well. And instead of standardizing all your teams across the organization, it's better to build connections and synchronize data while letting your teams work in their tools of choice. So they have the freedom, they have the autonomy to move fast, but on top of it, you need to make sure that you have a central point of visibility with some layer of governance. And all of this creates a better alignment with the business. And also, it eliminates the need to manually manage your projects. So you can scale your agile initiatives, you can scale your DevOps transformations. Your end goal is you can continue to increase your velocity, optimize the utilization of your tool set, and at the same time, decrease errors and outages. Instead of uncertainty and gut instinct, you now have the insights and the data-driven actions. And I wasn't going to mention tools, but I'm going to give you an introduction into our application management portfolio, which actually has capabilities across the life cycle of an application that increase velocity, remove the bottlenecks, and ensure you continuously improve your software delivery. These solutions are actually part of our enterprise DevOps portfolio, spanning every part of your life cycle, going from planning, continuous planning and governance, into continuous building and testing, into continuous deployment and release, into continuous operations even. And these also map to the value streams that we find, for example, in the IT framework, like strategy to portfolio, requirement to deploy, request to fulfill, and detect to correct. I mentioned a few of those continuous terms, and a quite important one in this is when it all comes together, you should actually strive to continuous improvement. And Micro Focus really creates a solid foundation to do this. These DevOps teams, these different teams, they depend on feedback loops, going all the way from the product and portfolio planning towards production. You need to collect data. You need to report back on those data. You need to analyze the data. And this enables your teams to make operational, but also business decisions at each stage. And that's exactly what successful IT organizations do. They focus on connecting and measuring end-to-end activities across the portfolio to deliver true business value at speed. A disconnect of those tools, and the planning, building, delivering mean that measuring this value will be very difficult. And without this end-to-end visibility and governance, you have a high risk of duplicating effort and following inefficient processes, which actually leads to a bad time to value. Now, what is actually the role of performance engineering into this whole picture? Next topic, great performance is the foundation of success. And it's a nice thing to say. Why is this actually? It's because actually organizations that are accelerating their digital transformation and are winning, they are putting the customer and user experience first. There's a direct correlation between improving your customer and user satisfaction, apologies, and increasing your business result. Customers and users today, especially digital natives, millennials, are very impatient and unpredictable, and their loyalty might shift, because another brand, another organization meets their need in the now, in the today. And the challenge really is that the software we're working with, the applications we're dealing with, are becoming much more complex, makes it much more critical than ever to quickly deliver great performing applications that are both resilient and also satisfy the expectations of your users. When this goes wrong, the cost is high. Poor performance drives customers away, leads to lost revenue, lost brand reputation, and lost competitive advantages. And you see some examples in the small on this slide, for example. Google research, for example, noted out that 61% of users are unlikely to return to a site of a company if they had trouble viewing it on a mobile device because it was too slow, for example. 20% of companies practice agile together with load and performance test in their agile sprints. That's a very low number. And actually, the cost of not doing it, as I said, can be very high. Now, what is then performance engineering and how should companies look at it? To meet the demands of this ever-changing application delivery in today's economy, the software development processes need this evolved approach going beyond just doing performance testing, just putting a load on your application and see how it responds. We at Micro Focus, we believe performance engineering should be a proactive and continuous testing discipline based on 4 key attributes. You need to expand the performance testing into new roles. Traditionally, performance testing was carried out by experts in the domain of performance testing. Also, developers, other members of the teams should be involved into performance testing and engineering performance into your application. When you practice DevOps and you have continuous integration, continuous delivery processes, performance testing should be integrated into those processes and not just be a late-stage assessment, which is completely misaligned with continuous integration and continuous delivery. Also, performance metrics should be collected from the very first phase, even before development starts, all the way through production. And the results, the data, should be continuously analyzed in order to create feedback loops back to the teams. And clearly, some companies like Shopzilla clearly saw this, for example, and they have increased their earnings thanks to this by 12%, and they have 25% more page views. This looks pretty easy. So you might think, why is not everybody doing it yet? And Remco asked this as well at the start. There's a couple of reasons for that. And the biggest one actually is, 96% of the end users using an application, they don't even complain when they have a performance issue. So some organizations, some teams, they don't realize that they have an issue. The users will just abandon them and go to the competition without complaining, without saying that there is actually an issue. Of course, there's also quite some internal challenges prohibiting companies to evolve to performance engineering. And one which we see a lot at organizations is the gap that still exists between development and testing. Leaving all the burden to the performance teams and really increases the likelihood of developing poorly designed applications today and creating a technical debt in the future, right? I already mentioned there's a lot more technologies and services to test because applications are coming a lot more complex. And it creates a gap as well in the coverage and what organizations are able to validate. Okay. Also, with more tests and with increasing loads, the maintenance of maintaining all those tests and different tools together with the infrastructure, the cost increases. So it puts also pressure on tooling budgets as well as human resources. So looking at why is not everybody doing it, you could also say or ask yourself, why should we do it right now? 2020 has been kind of a special year so far, and I would like to share some information from the newly released World Quality Report 2020-2021 with you, which we released together with our alliance partners, Sogeti and Capgemini. And they also actually did a survey with a lot of IT organizations. And some of the data that came out of this survey really tells us that now is the time to evolve to performance engineering. For example, they asked organizations, what are you going to do to make your testing more efficient? The top answer here is shift left, meaning test earlier in the process. And I already mentioned that typically for performance testing, performance engineering, companies do it as a late stage assessment. They should do it a lot earlier in the life cycle. They should shift left performance testing. The second graph which you see here is actually, well, has a focus on this year, the year where we saw the impact of COVID. What are you going to put more focus on because you're seeing, you know, some challenges regarding the COVID-19 pandemics? And the top answer here is actually, we will focus more on the customer experience. Hey, you also need to validate performance in order to do that. And even on the fourth point here, we will focus more on performance validation. So in today's world, it's becoming more and more important. You know, and we talk about this year, the COVID pandemic, it's very likely, and also organizations are expecting that the changes that they're seeing in people becoming more tech savvy and becoming more digital will not go away after the pandemic. So it's now the time to adopt performance engineering. And in order to meet those demands and in order to evolve, you need this approach beyond traditional performance testing, right? Some of you are, I guess, quite familiar with typical load testing, stress testing, performance tuning. You need to combine all of these practices and even add some capabilities in order to achieve performance engineering. And it's definitely a journey. It takes time, not just to adjust your people and procedures, but also breaking down the walls of your siloed teams and shifting the dominant paradigm in order to change these processes and behaviors. The benefits that organizations are looking for and need to have from a performance engineering strategy is they should have a solution in place which has an enterprise coverage, minimizing the need for customizations from the start and allow the teams to use one set of tools to test a wide range of technologies. Your approach should also be open and integrated and seamlessly integrate with dozens of tools, like scripting tools, continuous integration tools, application performance monitoring tools, even open source, right? On top of that, you need scalability and flexibility. You don't need to have ballooning costs across test maintenance, sharing licenses, or meeting unexpected demands, right? And very important one on the bottom, I put it even a bit bigger here. You need to have an intelligent solution which provides you with shared smart analytics and real-time insight in order to make the good IT and business decisions. I would like in the next couple of minutes to zoom in on a few of those points that I'm mentioning here. And the first one I want to cover is the enterprise coverage, the need to cover all technologies. And it actually should not matter whether you're testing the latest mobile application or web technology, or even a packaged application or a legacy application, a mainframe. You need to be able to cover everything. And even in today's world, covering everything, it also includes measuring performance, on your client device, on your mobile device, to understand how the user is reacting when a page is loading on his device and have a really good view on the end-to-end user experience. You also need to have these solutions available to all your teams, maybe as lightweight solutions for your development teams and very integrated experience solutions for your experienced performance engineer. It all comes together with a centralized solution and allows you to easily create, replay, enhance your testing assets for more effective load and performance testing. So no continuous integration or testing without extensive integrations, okay? I mentioned this already. You need to embrace an open approach to your broader ecosystem of agile and DevOps tools that you're rolling out. Your organizations will gain benefits if you have extensive integrations into your landscape. And this includes, for example, integrations with your developer ecosystem using IDEs like Visual Studio or Eclipse. Also, integrations with open source solutions that are commonly used within big organizations as well. It goes much further than that. You want some integrations with cloud providers. If you want to have a load test with burst resources and you want a high number of users to be simulated, it's really useful to have cloud provider support. And on top of it, extensive application performance management and monitoring integrations allow you to bring production data back into your pre-production so you can have an improved analytics. Okay. When you look at the deployment ways, of course, you should offer support for deploying on-premise, even deploying in containers, even deploying as a service or in a private or in a public cloud as well, right? I mentioned a little bit collecting data in order to provide visibility. And this visibility is really important because if you lack visibility across these processes, you open the door to efficiency, to misaligned business decisions, and at the end, poor quality outcomes. So providing this continuous value to the organization and your customers and users is depending on an accurately visualization of your delivery pipeline and continually optimizing the release and deployment process. And our solutions, of course, include those advanced analytics, possibility to report on KPIs, customizable reports, graphs, and dashboards. And those really help the teams to deliver their data-driven insights to fine-tune the entire application lifecycle. It gives them the clarity and allows them to make insights available, convenient, and valuable to everyone. And these insights need to be aligned and need to be made available on the best set of metrics. And you should have a collective view on how these results are leveraged. Typically, you would have a centralized approach to data collection. So you can connect the dots between your different teams, between developers, between your continuous integration, and between your performance testing engineers. So even incorporating things like telemetry, data from production, user sentiment measurements really gives you good input for a complete performance view, okay? And through this data visualization, the teams can all have the same version of the truth, and at the end, make smarter decisions. I should not forget mentioning a very important point that I hear most of the customers I'm talking to mentioning. One of the major concerns that we're seeing around performance testing is the overall costs that are associated with running infrastructure. So the approach that you're offering to customers, to users, must be designed to minimize cost in the most flexible way. And you can get to this by having some guidelines in mind, by allowing some things to be deployed. For example, having shared resources available to run your tests on with a centralized management platform to manage all your scenarios, so you minimize duplication and you maximize the collaboration between the teams. Also, of course, your license options for your tooling should allow you to balance your costs across both short-term and long-term projects. Burst capacity, meaning allowing you scale quickly when you need it, when you need to carry out large-scale load tests, should also be an option to really let you scale quickly only when you need it, right? And I already mentioned deploy your way. Have the flexibility into the deployment options to best match your infrastructure and your maintenance need. Now comes the time, looking at all these challenges, comes the time to look a little bit on how Micro Focus helps you. What do we have to offer in our portfolio to address these challenges and make sure you are supported in the best way? And the solution or the solution family that I want to highlight here is the LoadRunner family. And it's a very familiar name. LoadRunner has been a market leader for decades in performance testing. And actually recently we expanded the LoadRunner brand to a family of solutions. And there's 4 major solutions which you see on the slide. And why did we build this set of multiple solutions? It's really a set of integrated tools, and they can work both independently or in a combined fashion. And when combining them, you ensure that your teams, depending on their role, have the right tool when they need it. And whether that is for co-located teams, distributed teams, or even developers, they can run on a single system or in the cloud. So ensuring that these tools are right-sized for the different users while exploiting reusability, managing or delivering shared infrastructure will help to develop a true performance engineering ecosystem for success. The roadmap actually and our innovation of this family is engineered to help you tackle all the modern needs. First, and important as well, is allowing you to obtain a greater scale in not only who is doing the test, but also on accelerating your testing through repurposing your assets, automation of your processes, and improving value from your open source tools. And this will allow you not only to gain more coverage as the technology evolves. This can go from microservices to Internet of Things to big data testing. It also allows you to drive a very much greater insight with smarter analysis, and even augmented with things like predictive analytics driven by artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. Bottom line is, we allow you to create better outcomes for the business throughout improved experiences, but also in looking at optimizing the overall cost. I'm going to throw in this slide, which actually puts all the shared benefits and things you can achieve with the LoadRunner family into one slide, going from shifting the testing left throughout increasing your release cycles by integrations and monitoring, throughout migrating to the cloud and dynamically scale with cloud-based elastic load generators. And it actually should serve as a reminder of the core capabilities of our solution, the natural integrations and the general benefits you have in each step. And I want to highlight some of these benefits of the LoadRunner family. I'm going to highlight just a few. First of all, LoadRunner Professional. LoadRunner Professional has been on the market for decades, and it's still evolving quite a lot. There's millions of customer reviews online about LoadRunner Professional, and you will see a common thread in those. It's a versatile, easy to use, and amazingly intuitive tool, and it's truly still the industry standard for performance testing. Beginner testers, they can quickly learn the product and apply it to their testing tasks. And experienced users can exploit all the features and capabilities that we offer in the solution. This solution has the largest user community on the market and also extensive documentation. So help is only a click away from forums, blogs, and user groups. Of course, we integrate with our own Micro Focus app delivery marketplace. And I suggest you Google Micro Focus app delivery, because this is a single portal for all our users partners to share and distribute their content, which can go from sharing important functions, data formats, other add-ins that you can use in our solutions as well. Highlighting another key capability of LoadRunner Professional, it's actually having the best-in-class features to help your testers design extensive and flexible test scenarios that simulate real-world scenarios. And it includes some capabilities like powerful scripting tools that make it easy to record user actions and extend your tests with success failure checks, positive and negative. Integrating your external measurements into your scenario to make sure you can assess the impact on every single component in your application. You can also emulate peak loads with synchronization in your script so that all users that you're simulating all go to the application at the same time. Okay. By the way, on the slides that I'm sharing with you, I also do share some screenshots, so you have also an idea what I am talking about here. And beside the ease of use, I need to mention this as well, because users often cite LoadRunner Professional's analysis capabilities to be the best in the world. Sometimes they say it's really awesome. So LoadRunner Professional helps teams not only to be more accurate, to be more complete and precise, but also allows you to have detailed reporting to your upper management, so you can keep everyone informed of the progress and the status of your testing. We provide a strong analysis engine, so you can slice and dice data in many ways to easily pinpoint the root cause of your problems. Let's have a look at the next one. It's LoadRunner Enterprise, the second member of our LoadRunner family. LoadRunner Enterprise actually allows to drive better quality across the enterprise by allowing you to adopt a shared services model or performance center of excellence approach. Big organizations are adopting this to increase productivity and to standardize on processes. And the efficiency you can gain this way include a productivity increase, also improve collaboration across your teams, but also the ability to outsource some of or even all the work of load testing. So a center of excellence and definitely a performance center of excellence facilitates sharing these best practices and skills. And it enhances your efficiency by delivering a testing capability throughout the whole enterprise, which is accessible just through a web browser and everybody can access it. So it also increases your infrastructure cost, but it drives better quality across your entire enterprise. And some highlights about this collaboration. I already mentioned web-based access, sharing of your scenarios, of your results, of your report with all the different teams is a strong capability of this solution. So you have 24/7 access to all your testing operations, including the uploading of scripts, the scheduling and running of your tests, monitoring your executions, and analyzing your results. And any number of users can remotely connect and observe what is happening and configure their own customized view of the testing progress and the testing status. LoadRunner Enterprise provides really this whole collaborative infrastructure so that all members of the teams, whether they're project managers, whether they're performance engineers, whether they're developers, they can all view the load testing data, progress, and information all in real time. And last but not least, LoadRunner Enterprise supports what we call a dual use model. It's both a center of excellence approach to focus on the most visible and critical projects for the company, and as well a standard shared testing utility that all other groups in a company can leverage to run their own performance testing efforts for the smaller projects. So we provide for this enterprise level management with user administration, role-based privilege management, and usage auditing features, but also robust system management capabilities, so you can operate, manage, and maintain your whole solution in real time. You can see the status of all your resources. your agents that you're running through a very flexible web interface. Okay. So also, I mentioned leveraging cloud infrastructure as being a capability that companies need to have. LoadRunner Enterprise also provides this ability to seamlessly leverage public cloud infrastructure to deploy load generators that generate load to the application. So you can scale up and scale down based on your performance testing needs without having a complicated network and infrastructure configuration. When you run these load tests, you need to have this visibility, and you need to see this. You need to have these reporting engines that allow you quickly to see how the application for performance is trending. We do have all these reports included in our solutions, even measuring the application performance against predefined SLAs, service level agreements. We also give the teams the insight on how an application is used in production by integrating with production monitoring tools. It helps create them better testing scenarios that are more accurate and realistic representations of actually what is happening in production with the application. Now, when you do detect performance issues or defects, as you may call them, those defects can be tracked back all the way to the requirements to see if any critical requirement is being affected by your performance test, by the defect discovered in your performance test. So you can also report on this in order to track the exact status of your project and make well-informed go or no-go decisions based on this information. That was the second member of our LoadRunner family. The third member, and I really like talking about this, the name says it itself, it's LoadRunner Cloud. LoadRunner Cloud is a fully cloud-based performance engineering solution, which can scale to huge. It enables you really to scale load testing to more than 5 million virtual users, meaning you can simulate up to 5 million users accessing your application. And it supports unlimited executions of those. It's based on an elastic cloud self-driven test lab, which is of course included as part of the solution. So you can create on demand dozens, hundreds of simulated users within a few minutes. And we do this by covering over 20 cloud regions across the world. If you cannot have your load coming from one of those cloud regions, we even allow it to combine it with your own private cloud or on-premise infrastructure for generating load to your application. On top of it, LoadRunner Cloud has a very flexible licensing model, so you aren't locked into anything. You can easily scale up and down, always there, based on always there, or even seasonal needs, like upcoming Thanksgiving and Christmas celebrations. So LoadRunner Cloud, I mentioned, it's easy to use. It allows you to create a test in less than 10 minutes. And of course, it leverages all your existing LoadRunner family assets that you may have, whether you are using already LoadRunner Professional or LoadRunner Enterprise. You can all integrate this with LoadRunner Cloud. On top of it, we support third-party solutions, open source tools, and a very known one is JMeter, for example, but also Gatling and Selenium are very easily integrated with LoadRunner Cloud. On top of the integrations with the third-party scripting tools, as you may call it, we have a very rich selection of other third-party tools that we integrate with, from continuous integration servers, such as Jenkins, Bamboo, to APM tools and SEM tools. And this list of integrations allows the organizations to have great flexibility and allowing you to really carry out agile testing and make development teams run their performance tests as part of their builds and continuous integration cycles in an easy and fully automated manner. Okay. The smart analytics and predictive analytics that are part of LoadRunner Cloud will help you to understand anomalies and problems in real time. And instead of having to go manually throughout a whole set of data collected, the predictive analytics will pinpoint the issues or the anomalies for you. So we have this robust real-time analytics engine with extensive reporting capabilities. And we can even pull in data from other monitoring and analytics tools. To just name a few, Dynatrace, App Dynamics, New Relic, all the data can be integrated with LoadRunner Cloud and be made visible into the reports and predictive analytics. So also SLA goals, which are service level agreements against your performance related data, can be reported on. So you can determine at the end whether you are passing or failing against your defined SLAs. Right. Last but not least, latest addition to our LoadRunner family is LoadRunner Developer. This may be a part of our solution which is maybe still uncommon to a lot of you because it's been recently added to our portfolio. And this all sits in the idea of shift left performance testing. And it's something which companies typically didn't do or don't do. And it also, you know, doesn't happen overnight. It takes some cultural challenges as well. But on top of it, you need to give the developers the ability to learn the new practices and learn the technologies behind. And that's the reason that we designed LoadRunner Developer with a true developer mindset. It allows the developers, regardless of the IDE they're using, the integrated developer environment like Visual Studio, Eclipse, IntelliJ. Independent of that, the developers can script, execute load tests as part of their continuous testing process. And as I mentioned, collaboration with the different teams and the gaps between the different teams that exist, it's a big challenge in most organizations. So this is truly a solution which allows you to collaborate in a much better and shared approach. And it's a true benefit when using LoadRunner Developer in combination with the rest of the LoadRunner family, targeted to different teams in your organization. So together, these set of tools actually help you to speed up your test execution by creating and collaborating on assets using a common technology. It also will help you understand on how all the different parts of your systems work versus evaluating isolated results coming from different tool sets. And it allows you to scale, not just with cloud integrations, but also scale in combination with integrations with your existing tools. And at the end, it will save you time and cost with proficient testing capabilities. And you know, this was quite some information about the solution. So I can actually summarize all this in one slide. And it's choose the right tool for the right job. We provide you with an integrated set of enterprise-grade performance engineering solutions. So you simply choose the right tool for the right job, while at the same time, you leverage connected ecosystem, delivering smarter insights, tighter collaboration, and better cost savings. So the LoadRunner family includes LoadRunner Professional for more technical users, LoadRunner Enterprise for collaborative, globally distributed teams, LoadRunner Cloud for ultimate scalability, and LoadRunner Developer for shift-left testing using any IDE. For all of these solutions, we offer flexible options because no two organizations are alike in how they want to consume or acquire software. So we offer a number of flexible options, both for deployment and licensing. And I mentioned already a few in my previous slides. For deploying the solutions, you can choose for on-premise for complete control of your infrastructure. You can also go for containerized support to simplify the maintenance for the entire solution, or maybe for just some components of the solution. We also offer a full software as a service solution to maximize the value with a faster provisioning and an easier maintenance. And last but not least, we have support for public cloud. Most of our products run on Amazon Web Services, on Microsoft Azure, so that organizations can leverage their investment they already made into acquiring the tools. And for licensing, the flexibility is similar. We do offer a flexible software as a service subscription, which is truly a mix and match subscription as a single contract, so that customers can adjust to actual consumption patterns that they see within their organization. We also have options for sharing licenses, and make sure you can share licenses between products, so you minimize the lock-in at a fixed level. And a lot of organizations are reaping the benefits from our solutions. And as a matter of fact, we have a huge track record across numerous industries. And I'm listing some of the slide here. It goes from financial services to healthcare, to telecommunications, to manufacturing. And with the years of experience, we understand the needs of these industries, as well highly regulated industries that require governance, audibility, and also control over their delivery processes. And looking at some of the industries, it may be nice as well to end the presentation with looking at a few of the organizations that do have a good case for the solutions and that shared their experience with us. And I want to share their experience as well with you today. Some that I mentioned typically on the slides are big organizations like Kellogg's, Airbus, that use our general ADM solutions. But I would like to highlight some of the performance engineering solutions and customer success stories that we have with them. And the first one is a customer you may not know, a big customer in the US. It's McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill is an education publisher, and they actually have an online platform which can have up to 30,000 concurrent users accessing their online education platform. So for them, really, an effective IT performance testing is of paramount importance. They need to have an efficient way of making sure the performance of their online platform is okay. And they were facing challenges with this because their infrastructure was growing. The test assets were growing, and they were having actually challenges in time-consuming operations, managing these test assets and load generators. And they actually went with the LoadRunner cloud solution, moving everything into the cloud, which really allowed them that they could automate both the testing and result generation by saving time in managing their infrastructure and managing their different assets. So they could focus also their time on other areas as well. Okay. So happy to share this story with you. I would also like to share a story which is a little bit closer to where we live, actually. Company I work personally with, actually, Orange Crest Consulting, based in Netherlands, were actually supporting a big organization that was going through an SAP transformation, right? And they had to ensure that the performance of the SAP environment was acceptable before going live, but also during operations. And they looked at multiple performance testing solutions on the market, and LoadRunner Enterprise came out as meeting the criteria in the best way, with its big support for all the technologies that exist and the ability to manage one central tool environment was allowing them actually to reduce their total cost of ownership and make them more efficient in the SAP transformation. And at the end, they resulted actually in starting earlier in testing, having this shift left approach to make sure performance testing happens earlier with a reduced application downtime and with better digital experience for your end users. And with this, I would actually like to end my presentation. We at Micro Focus, we help you to build and deliver better software faster. And with this quote, I would like to head back to the studio, back to Remco.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Always exciting and nice to hear you. Especially liked it that you used the customer examples. I think that makes us more alive in the people's head to see these real life examples. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time live somewhere, either in the Netherlands or wherever in our region. Thank you, and I speak to you soon.
Thank you, Remco.